Hey, what's up, Thrive family? Dr. Mike here, coming at you on this beautiful, rainy Tuesday evening for your wellness workshop. Now, the rain is never a bad thing. I never get upset when it's raining out. The water is important. Obviously, the earth needs water. Our plants need water. There's always that need for that. So there's growth, there's change and abundance in our world. So I'm never in a bad mood when it comes to a rainy evening. I actually welcome it. And it really segues me into that thought of really what we're here to talk about today. And it's really getting into the needs of our body. Our body obviously has certain needs, and I think it's an important topic to really delve into to truly understand how to make them. Now, when we consider needs, I think we're in a great time frame to really even talk about this, because I think we're at a time right now where a lot of people are assessing and reassessing what their day-to-day needs are, what they truly need in their daily life in order to not only enjoy it, but to function, to live at their best, and what they may not need, what may have been extra or unnecessary or even detrimental in their day-to-day life. I think this current times and challenges have certainly provided us with an amazing opportunity to really take a deeper look into our body and our way of life and understand what our real vital needs are for life and for survival. And I think that's a great conversation to really have. And I want to take that and kind of move that into how we interact with the human body through our office. And when we look at taking care of not only just our clientele, but educating those clients as well as the community, my hope is to always, through our education and through our processes here, is to allow the human body to function at its highest capacity. Our body has an amazing ability to function. It can perform, so many amazing tasks. We can move in such dynamic ways. Our brain has a massive ability to communicate such vast amounts of information, not only within itself, but outside to our body and interacting with the outside world. And the biggest thing I think to consider when I'm dealing with these people and educating is to really consider that I think everybody has the ability to function to such a beautiful and massive level, and I want to make sure that we can maximize that. We have the ability to make choices in our day-to-day life that can have a massive effect on the way our body functions. So let's make sure that we can maximize those choices, if you will, to really get the most out of it. And that really brings me into the conversation at hand tonight, getting back to the idea of needs. I truly believe that our body has certain vital needs in order to actually survive, and then in the long term to thrive and function at its greatest capacity. And we can really kind of break that down into a tiered level, going from what I would consider least importance, not to diminish the importance of it, to what I consider the most important. And we're going to break that down in a simple measurement of time. So the first big thing we want to consider when we look at our vital needs of our system, it's a pretty simple one. I think most people understand it, is we all need to eat. This is one I absolutely love. I am a foodie at heart. I absolutely love cooking. I love eating. So this is near and dear to my heart. Our system needs consistent nourishment in order to function at its best. The idea is simple. It's not a matter of just pure pleasure, but our body needs it for fuel so that we can actually function, so that our muscles can move, so we can create the impulses within our system to actually move and communicate and do all the things that our body does. But additionally, the food or nourishment we provide our system is laden with vitamins and minerals and amino acids and all these different building blocks for life. As we look at our body is constantly regenerating and repairing itself. Cells turn over on a constant basis. As we look at our body, we have an amazing miracle within our system that every single one of our tissues will replenish many times over throughout the course of our life. And the big thing there that's required in order to not only build new tissue, but also repair tissue that may become damaged over time or whatever it may be, is we need these vital building blocks through the nourishment that we received in order for that repair to come about. So obviously we need to be nourished. We need to eat. We need to eat on a regular basis. Now, Obviously, for most of us, that means, several meals a day, snacks, all those fun things. But when we really boil it down and take a deep look at what our body truly needs to survive, not just to function at its best, but really from a basic survival standpoint, when we look at our body's need for nourishment, our body can actually survive quite long in the scheme of things without eating. Some, depending on the research you look at, it can be anywhere from several weeks all the way up to over a month and a half or so, really depending on the actual situation of the individual, their body composition, all these fun things. But the reality of it is our body can go a pretty significantly long period of time, at the least weeks, without eating. So that's pretty amazing, that our body has the ability to function that long without the vital nutrients that it needs. And I think that speaks to the capacity of how important these things are. From a timeline standpoint, we can go weeks without eating. So I put that towards the bottom end of what I consider our vital needs. Not that it's any less important. We certainly need to focus on nutrition. We certainly need to focus on eating well. But in the scheme of overall hierarchy of things, I should say, it's towards the bottom. Now, as we step that up to the next level, what I would consider one of our next major vital needs that falls just above our ability to nourish our body is that we need to be constantly putting water into our system. Pretty simple to say. You'll hear that from any doctor, any health expert out there, that we all need to be drinking more and more and more water. Most of us do not drink enough water throughout the course of our day, or we're putting other things into our system that depletes water, such as caffeine and all those types of things. So we all need to drink water. Pretty simple idea. Water should be drinking on a daily basis if we can. That's the ideal situation to keep our body functioning at its ideal best. But again, let's break it down a little bit further. When we look at just the basic survival aspect of our system, our body can survive, again, for a fairly decent period of time without water. We harken back to all the old movies of people lost in the desert, if you will. But the reality is, when you look at a human body, in a general stance of situations, depending on the person, again, it's, own composition and the environment that they're in and whatnot, we can last several days without water in our system, depending on the situation. So again, while water is absolutely vital, we certainly cannot survive without it. We couldn't go throughout our entire life without water, just like we couldn't go throughout our entire life without eating. It still falls towards a lower end when it comes to our overall vital needs. We can survive days without it. So it gives us a pretty good margin for error, if you will, from a perspective of dangers of not having it. Now, as we go to our next level, in terms of our vital needs, the next big really thing that I always think about is looking at oxygen. Again, pretty simple. I am sure all of you can understand the fact that you need to breathe. Pretty important. If you were just like me as a kid, we would dive down into the pool, every summer and see how long we could hold our breath for. How long can you last without having to, dive up out of the water and go gasping for air? So obviously air is drastically important. We have to be breathing on a constant basis. It's one of those innate functions that our body does without us even having to think about it, to be constantly breathing in and out, bringing oxygen in our system. Oxygen is vital to really all of our functions in our body. So, simple enough to say it's a vital need. Now, again, when we look at it from a numbers perspective, how long can we go without oxygen? Well, for most of us, that's maybe a couple minutes at most. It doesn't take too long for us to suddenly need to be gasping for air, for you to simply lose consciousness. Our body can go for not a very long period of time without oxygen in our system. So I think as we take a look at that, that's certainly a much more vital situation when we compare that to our needs for water or our needs for nourishment. We cannot go very long without without oxygen. That's why we were not designed to be living in the ocean. So again, I think that puts that on a pretty important level when it comes to the vital needs of our system. Now, when we bring it to our next major step, and I think the most important one, for me, when we look at the survival of our system, we've hit in some pretty big topics. Obviously, we all need food, we all need water, and we all need oxygen to survive. But what's really the most important thing? What if taken away shuts our body down instantaneously and ends life instantaneously, ends function instantaneously? Pretty important question, because there is something there that will do so. And the idea is pretty simple. When you look at the core of our body and you look at what actually controls every aspect of the way our body functions, from the way we move, our input of information, our ability to see, taste, and feel the environment around us, the function of all of our internal organ systems, the function of our immune system, our digestion, our metabolism, every single one of the functions in the human body is directly controlled through the nervous system. Without nerve flow going from your brain to all the different systems and cells in your body will cease to function, or in the worst case, cease to live. This is an important concept to really understand. You know, when we look at this from a super basic level, take it back to childhood again. I like going back to childhood. Kids like to think of things in a very simplistic manner, and I like to go there too. You know, we get this conversation all the time in the office, thinking about too many karate movies. What happens? They crack the neck and twist the neck off, and all of a sudden somebody's gone instantaneously. Severing the spinal cord, cutting it right off from the brain to the rest of the body will instantaneously cease to function in somebody's life. That's massive. There is no other thing that the body needs. There is no other way to shut our body down as quickly as cutting off nerve flow from the brain to the rest of the body. Simple enough. It is the most vital need that our body has, is to have consistent and appropriate information flow, nerve flow, electrical impulse, electrochemical impulse actually, from our brain through our cells into our body. You know, even when you look at it from even a less severe standpoint, we think about the idea of paraplegia and quadriplegia. If you shut off nerve flow because of an injury such as severe as those, you're going to you're going to shut down the function, you should shut down the actual function of whatever cell, organ, tissue that goes to. It'll no longer function in the same capacity. And from a global stance, if we shut down that nerve flow to every single part of our body ceases to exist. It is that important. So I think it's pretty fair to say, when we look at trying to keep our body functioning and ideally functioning, I should say, at our absolute best, we want to consider every single one of these vital needs. They are certainly all important. It's something, as a conversation that I have with every single person that walks through our door. You know, what is your diet like? How much water are you eating? Even breathing is an important conversation I have to have with people. You would be amazed how poorly people breathe on a regular basis, but I can attest to say that the most important conversation I have to have with every single person that we work with, in order to really allow their body to express their absolute best, is that conversation of how well their brain is communicating with the rest of their body, and where is the interference coming from. Because it is possible to receive interference and irritation to that nervous system, which will directly affect the quality of the communication between the brain and the body. And when we have that breakdown of communication, that irritation on the system, our body is going to have a lessened ability to function. We're going to take our body from that 100%, and we're going to start slowly dropping it down to 95, 90, 80, even lower. So what do we do about this? This is what we address in our office on a regular basis. This is why we find the care to be so essential and vital as a portion of your health care when it comes to taking care of your body. We need to make sure that every single individual, to function at their best, has the most highest capacity for communication between the brain and the rest of the system. And we accomplish this by caring for our spine. Our spine is the protector of our central nervous system. And when we have stresses of daily living, whether it's the accidents, the injuries, the emotional stressors, chemical stressors, all of these stressors can cause irritation and changes to occur within our spine to actually cause direct irritation onto the function of that central nervous system. I think it's pretty fair to say that all of us want to be at our best. We all want to achieve something greater than we may be doing already. So the most important thing to allow us to function is to start at that core. We can eat the best foods in the world. We can eat clean, eat organic, eat everything coming from the earth, if you will. We can drink the highest quality water with no contaminants in it whatsoever. We can practice deep breathing exercises on a regular basis, whether through meditation or any other practice. We can do all of these amazing positive things for our body, even just exercising. We can exercise all we want. But if we're not starting with the core cause of any amount of dysfunction in our system, we're never going to maximize our ability to harness the positive things that we're doing. Obviously, we want to get the most out of the things we do. Somebody wants to invest their time into exercising to only get 50% of the benefit. Nobody wants to invest their time, energy, and money into great nutritional products and foods in order to help the health of our system and still only get 60% out of it. Even if you're getting 95% of the benefit out of something, why would you not want to maximize your capacity to really get the most out of the positive choices that you're making? We allow the system, through gentle adjustments to the spine, to reduce the irritation, to allow that proper nerve flow to function at its absolute highest capacity. When we do so, we can maximize our ability to take most advantage of every aspect of positive health choices that we make to our system. I think that's the core of really where we need to be at. We need to maximize our ability to care for ourselves. Like I said, we work with a lot of different healthcare providers, but what we know is when we look at the health of a system, it's all about making the right choices. Start from square one and then build up to the next level. Through chiropractic care and through proper nerve flow, which is what we focus on, we can allow the body to function at its best. We can allow your system to relax. We can allow it to take most advantage of everything that we need to be doing. Those proper choices. Our body has vital needs, and we certainly have to consider every single one of them. They are all important, and they all fall within a hierarchy. I always say it's best to start at square one and not skip steps through any process. So that's what I always invite people to do as we take a look at their health of their system within our office. We start from square one. We take a deep look at how the spine and nervous system is functioning and where the breakdown is truly occurring. You can remove the interference to the best capacity possible, allow the body to function, and get that person moving forward in a good pattern. And then again, making more positive choices so that we can take the most advantage of our body's ability to live and really thrive in our beautiful world and take most advantage of the things that we love to do. You know, our hope is to always be here for people, to provide that hope, to provide the help that's necessary to guide them on a path of change. And that's really what we focus on, even just in square one with an individual, is understanding where the core breakdown is. You know, we can see people come to our office on a regular basis that have breakdowns in many different aspects of their life, and education is a big part of that. But if we don't start from square one, we're never going to see the full potential to move forward. So, as I said, vital needs are always a big consideration. And I think we're at a time frame now today where we're all assessing what truly is needed in our life. And I always don't hesitate to say that health is our absolute most vital thing that we need in our system. If you want to live your best life, if you want to be the happiest you can be, we always have to invest in our health. You only have one body. You have one person that you can take through the course of whatever your life may bring you. Why not walk your course to the highest potential by caring for your system in the best possible way? Something to simply think about. So, I appreciate you guys tuning in here tonight, going through the conversation with me here today, and I hope this allowed you to take a different look at how you assess the needs of your system and where you find the most importance. And I challenge you to consider that we always want to look to the core of our body and understand what truly is causing its dysfunction, its breakdown, and then walk forward in those steps that are necessary to allow our body to flourish and function at its best. So, thanks for tuning in again. Love you guys, and have an awesome night.